All right, so all praise to Yahweh, in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth, and these are where I am still learning this truth, and also Shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel, Lord willing, I'm of that number. All right, we're going to continue on speaking about hell, all right, and it not being, there's not a such thing as a place where your soul or your spirit burns forever, okay? So let's go ahead and continue on with the word hell, actually, all right? Which in the last video, we brought up a couple of scriptures, which was Deuteronomy 32 and 22, just for example. Okay, again, it reads, for a fire is kindled in mine anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. And we went into this word for hell here. All right, which is
Strong's H 7585. Sheol, Sheol, and second entry, Sheol, Sheol.
All right, Sheol. All right, Sheol, underworld, grave, hell, pit. Says the Old Testament designation for the abode of the dead. So again, where does your body go? It goes into the pit. All right. Or, all right, where some people down here, all right, living out, living in this place of judgment. All right, some people here are in hell because some people also here are in heaven. All right, so it can be a state of mind. All right, a condition of the mind. Okay. Let's see. So, the Strong's definition of Sheol, it says Hades or the world of the dead. Okay. Grave, hell, or pit. All right, they're all synonymous. The grave, hell, pit. All right, Sheol. Okay. But this time, this lesson, all right, last lesson we went over Sheol. This one we're going to go over the word hell. All right. So I have here in the notes again, hell. It says English word. As a matter of fact, I bought this up here. Said define hell. Okay. It says noun. It says a place regarded. Oh, here's the word. Hold on.
Hell.
All right, a place regarded in various religions as a spiritual realm of evil and suffering, often traditionally depicted as a place of perpetual fire beneath the earth where the wicked are punished after death. And that's a fable. We're going to get into what a fable is in a minute. All right, it says a state or place of great suffering. Okay, and you can be in great suffering without being in flames forever. It says an unbearable experience. All right, a state of mind. Okay, the condition of the mind. It says used to express annoyance or surprise or for emphasis. For example, it says, "Oh hell, where will this all end?" Okay, informally it says expressing anger, contempt, or disbelief, as in, "Who the hell are you?" All right. Phrases that include this word is "all hell breaks loose." Okay, so, meaning suddenly there's pandemonium. All right, let's look up this really quick, which this is coming. All right, sudden pandemonium. Won't be so sudden for the ones that know the truth, because the Lord has let us know what's coming. But for the ones that aren't paying attention, all right, it will seem like it's sudden and out of nowhere. So define pandemonium.
Pandemonium.
All right, it says wild and noisy disorder or confusion or uproar. Similar words: chaos, uproar, havoc, mayhem. Drop down question: what does pandemonium literally mean? It says pandemonium literally means the place of all demons. All right, so hell is going to break loose down here. Wait, as a matter of fact, it says it has come to mean a state of wild uproar, tumult, or chaos. Okay, never once in there did it mention. In that definition, you can see it didn't mention a place where your spirit burns forever or flames. It said it has come to mean a state of wild uproar, tumult, and chaos. Okay, that's more true than thinking that it is a place where your spirit burns forever. Okay, so now to the notes, it says English word meaning, speaking of hell, English word meaning concealed place or underworld. It's used by the King James Version in the Old Testament to render the Hebrew word Sheol, and in the New Testament Greek, Hades and Gehenna. All right, the NIV and other modern versions use it almost exclusively as a translation of Gehenna, which refers to the valley of Hinnom, the location southwest of Jerusalem where children were sacrificed to Molech. Okay, this place, the valley of Hinnom, was used by Yahushua as an example, okay, to explain or tell of a future judgment coming of fire and destruction. Okay, and that is the judgment that is for this place called America, better known to us as Babylon the Great, also known as the future site of the lake of fire. Okay, but again, even in the lake of fire, your spirit is not going to burn forever. Okay, so again, says this place, the Valley of Hinnom, was used by Yahushua to explain or tell of a future judgment coming of fire and destruction. As a matter of fact, this is Babylon the Great. All right, there is a great destruction that's going to happen here. All right, this place is going to be made into a desert. From up above, when we are in the chariots, Lord willing, we are of that number. When we look down at this place, it is going to look like a lake of fire. Okay, but there is also, speaking of hopefully being in those chariots, the ones who do make it into the chariots, that is going to be the great salvation. Okay, so it is not a place where you burn forever. Okay, America will look like a lake of fire. Okay, and instead of let's go here to Jeremiah 7, which is given, for example, here in these notes. Jeremiah chapter 7. This is where it mentions the valley of Hinnom. All right, so let's go here. Oh, you know what? I already had it up. So Jeremiah 7, all right, starting at verse 30. It reads, "For the children of Judah have done evil in my sight, saith the Lord Yahweh. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it." All right, going off. Okay, all of us. Okay, we all need mercy. All right. Jeremiah 7 and 31, it says, "And they have built the high places of Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my heart. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that it shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. For they shall bury in Tophet till there be no place. All right, and that's likened to what is going to happen as a judgment of America or Babylon the Great. Okay, when this fire hits here, when these missiles hit, when the chariot lasers hit, nobody's gonna be getting buried, man. Bodies are gonna be everywhere. Okay, as it says, the slain of the Lord shall be many. Okay, Jeremiah 7:33 now says, and the carcasses of this people shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth, and none shall fray them away. Okay, again, there's an example of that that's going to happen here in America. Let me see if we can find this judgment here. Let's see. Let me get the slain. Okay, this is going to be Isaiah 66. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm looking for this prophecy against Babylon. Hold on. second. Okay, this is like we said earlier, Isaiah 66 and 15, starting at 15. It says, "For behold, the Lord Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." Okay, so there are going to be many bodies over here after the Lord is done uh, with his judgment on this land. Only the remnant and the elect are going to make it out of here alive, besides those elite that escape into these other countries, into their bunkers. All right, but the 2/3 and the rest of the nations over here are all going to be laid flat, melted. Okay. All right, so now, all right, and instead of it being it's going to be known as the Valley of Slaughter at that point. Let's go here to Jeremiah 7 again. All right, where's it at? Oh, okay, we read that. All right, we did read that. Okay, so now let's look up this word fable. Okay, define fable. And in the next couple lessons or so, we're going to go over Gehenna. Right now, we're only touching on the word hell. The first video was Sheol. All right, this one is touching on hell. So let's look at this word fable.
Fable.
Because we've read the definition of hell. Okay, and we know the idea that most of the world has when they hear this. All right, hear that word hell. So fable, it says a short story, typically with animals as characters, conveying a moral. All right, but right here, verb, it says tell fictitious tales. All right. It also says a story, typically a supernatural one, incorporating elements of myth and legend. All right, what's a myth? Myth, a traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of a people or explaining some natural or social phenomenon, and typically involving supernatural beings or events. All right, hey, definition 2, it says a widely held but false belief or idea. All right, a misrepresentation of the truth. All right, a fictitious or imaginary person or thing. An exaggerated or idealized conception of a person or thing. And this is what most of the world has fell into when they think of what hell is. Okay, there is no place, according to the scriptures, where your spirit or your soul burns forever. Okay, So let's go here to First Timothy. I think we read this the other day. I thought we would have got back to it, but we didn't in that video. But this one we are going here. First Timothy 4. Oops. First Timothy 4:7. It reads, "But refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto godliness," showing you that there's a difference between fables or things of fiction and godliness. All right, what the Lord really says in these scriptures. Okay, so these, like hell, right? Hell is a fable. Okay, these are tales that are told, tales, myths, and fables that do not lead to Yahweh. All right, let's go in here and look at this word for profane.
Strong's G 952. Bebelos. Bebelos.
All right, profane. It says unhallowed, common, or public place. Okay, heathenish, wicked. That's what these fables are. Heathenish and wicked fables, man. Okay. Let's see. Also, let's look at this word refuse, because it told us to refuse profane and old wives' fables. But refuse profane and old wives' fables. So what does it mean to refuse?
Strong's G 3868. Paraiteamai. Paraiteamai.
All right, let's see. It says to refuse, decline, to shun, or avoid. Okay, to beg pardon. It says of one excusing himself for not accepting a wedding invitation to a feast. And what's a wedding? All right, a joining to. So we excuse ourselves from joining to fables. All right, and hell being one of these fables. All right. Now let's look at old wives' tales. Let's see. Or old wives.
Strong's G 1126. Graodes. Graodes.
It says old womanish. All right. It says crone-like, i.e., silly. All right. These are silly fables. All right. Okay. Now let's go to 2 Timothy 3. All right. The heading being difficult times will come. 2 Timothy 3. Starting at verse 1, it says, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh Ba'al Yahushai, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. Now we just looked at old wives, right? Silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. So that can speak for men and mention here women also, but that can speak for men too. They hear another philosophy, another belief, and it just takes them away. They get led away, all right, because it piques their lusts. Okay, whether it's the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, or the pride of life, they'll hear a different philosophy or belief, and they'll just get taken away by it. But the Lord tells us to avoid all that. Let me read that again in the NLT, because it mentioned a lot of different things there that all lead away from the Lord, man. If you aren't his, all right, if you are not of the remnant and the elect, you will get taken by these things. 2 Timothy chapter 3, with the heading being, this is in the NLT again, the dangers of the last days. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times. For people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at Yahweh, Bahoshem Yahushai, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. All right, let's see what that is. I think the word was brutal in that other in the King James version. So let's look at this word.
Strong's G 434. Anemeros. Anemeros.
Not tame, savage, fierce. All right. Without self-control. What do we talk about precepts was? As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and look at this let's go look at this definition of precept again.
Precept.
A general rule intended to regulate behavior or thought. All right, these are rules of the Lord's to tame you. All right, to regulate your behavior or thought. Let me see, what does it mean to tame? Define tame.
Tame.
All right, it says, what the hell is going on? All right, it says, hold on a second. It says cultivate, land or wilderness. Let's look at this word cultivate now.
Cultivate.
Prepare and use. All right, to break up soil in preparation of sowing or planting. Raise or grow plants, especially on a large scale for commercial purposes. Grow or maintain. Okay. Try to acquire or develop a quality, sentiment, or skill. Apply oneself to improving or developing one's mind or manners. And this is what the precepts do for us. All right, they tame us, they cultivate us. All right. Let's go back here. All right. 2 Timothy 3 and 4 now in the NLT. It says they will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahweh Shai. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. And verse 6, they are the kind who work their way into people's homes and win the confidence of vulnerable women who are burdened with the guilt of sin and controlled by various desires. Hey, let's go ahead and go to 7. 2 Timothy 3 and 7. Such women are forever following new teachings, but they are never able to understand the truth. All right. So we avoid these cunningly devised fables or these old wives' tales. Okay, these silly tales, as in, for example, hell is a place where your spirit burns forever. Okay, that is a fable. All right, one of many fables that are down here. Remember, we are in Babylon the Great. All right, great confusion. Okay, this is the land of great confusion, man. But the truth is here. Okay, so we just wanted to go over that word, hell. All right, and we talked about what fables are. All right, so let's go to, actually I got a little bit more notes. So now let's go to 1 Timothy 4 and 7 again. All right, NLT this time. It says, do not waste time arguing over godless ideas and old wives' tales. Instead, train yourself to be godly. All right, it says physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better, promising benefits in this life and in the life to come. All right, and if there was a place where your spirit burned forever, all right, I remember when I was younger, listening to Eazy-E. There was a little skit. I think it was in the middle of a song, but what he said was, if there's hell below, we're all gonna go. All right, going against the Lord as much as we have, we were probably all worthy of a place like that if there was such a place. But the Lord set this thing up to where we would be subjected to vanity and sin in order to be subjected to hope and faith. All right, we would come back to this truth. All right, but the whole truth, though, okay, it says that all Israel will be saved. Oops. Hold on. Romans 11 and 26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. Okay, we're all going to be saved. All Israel. Okay. Romans 11 and 27. For this is my covenant unto them when I shall take away their sins. Okay. So what is the Spirit going to be do? Burning in a place that you're supposed to burn forever, but the Lord said he's going to take away our sins. Okay. And then leave us. Is he going to leave us burning in there forever? All right. Or is there no such thing as a place where your spirit burns forever? All right. So another word that is similar to fables are myths. All right, so let's look up this word really quick. Let me check the time first. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna come right back and do. I think there's only a little bit left in these notes, but I'm gonna cut this off and then come back, Lord willing. All right. So with that, I hope this came through as sincere and edifying. And with that, all praise to Yahweh, in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, also known as the Prophets of Doom. All right, these are where I have learned this truth, and these are where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number, and Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.